Connie Minowa is an artist based out of Viroqua, Wisconsin, and is also well known for being a live painter and member of the acclaimed band Cloud Cult. Connie discusses how she grew up, losses, and what led her to a life of creativity. Her work explores the spiritual, emotions, and the natural environment in one's journey. She touches on living a creative life, the Earthology Institute, and what is next for her. I'm Amy, and he's Brent, and this is La Crosse Local.
Well, my name is Connie Minowa, and I was born in a rural town in southeastern Minnesota. I grew up, kind of having a standard childhood, but was really drawn to the arts at an early age. You'd find me oftentimes just sitting at the table with crayons and pencils and markers and piles of papers in front of me and just doing different drawings. And sometimes they'd be doodles, sometimes they'd be, houses and flowers and trees and, rainbows and all that stuff. I really enjoyed as a child drawing and art in general.
You stated that your work is about your spiritual and emotional journey, defining beauty and awe in nature. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I was thinking about that when I was walking through the woods yesterday. It's interesting to think about. The journey that my work has taken has, initially art was just an outlet for me as far as creativity, is something that I enjoyed doing. But over time, it's actually become a spiritual practice, a healing practice for me. When I'm going through big challenges in my life or have had loss or big struggles, definitely is something that I can use to help me process, to help me feel in touch with nature in a way, because I'm replicating nature on my canvases. I'm replicating creatures on my canvases that kind of have a spiritual significance in nature. I happen to see a lot of foxes around my property. I live out in the country, and deer and different creatures. So they might end up kind of sneaking into the paintings, telling a little bit of a story as well.
I'm just talking about the experience over the last couple months with COVID-19 and how that affects people with creativity and learning how to cope. What does your artistic process, has the virus had an effect on it? I mean, staying at home, working more, maybe just spending time with your family?
It's actually changed a lot for us because my husband and I have a band called Cloud Cult, and we tour a lot. And I do live painting during the shows, and we've had to pivot quite dramatically to adapt to COVID-19. We had a whole season of art festivals and performances with the band, and now we're back at home. And so, you find me more in my studio. We're working on Patreon. So tonight I have a little podcast thing that I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to be painting while I talk about my art and just kind of showing people some of the different things that I'm working on. Usually as a painter, I'm kind of just in my studio doing my thing, but I'm really having to kind of get out there more as far as putting ourselves in front of people and letting them know that we're here, we're still doing work. It's a different way of doing it, but we have really enjoyed this new process.
Speaking about kind of getting out there, which we took for granted, being able to attend performances, to perform, how did the live painting for you start in that band?
Well, Craig and I, we have been together for a couple decades plus. In our early stages of Cloud Cult, we actually lost our 2-year-old son, and we had a real shift in our lives over those next several years. And Craig decided reluctantly, because he's not a very extroverted kind of person. Performing live is not something that he would necessarily feel the most comfortable with. And when him and I first started dating, we were both like, he would be playing music and I would be sitting there drawing, and we were just kind of naturally doing that. And so when the band started to really pick up and he wanted to pursue some music that he had made after the time of losing our son, he really felt like, it was important to have that live painting element. His close friend and I started to do live painting, and it just felt like for him and I like a real natural combination, just because we had always been doing our art and music within proximity of each other, but it was kind of a big process getting it going on stage and realizing that we, Scott and I would have to complete a painting in half an hour at first, like doing South by Southwest and like trying to fire off paintings outside of venues because there's so many people and like we're on the streets, like performing through the window, like, kind of thing. And we've, learned to speed paint, as we say. And it's been a journey.
Yeah, I never thought about that. If you have a short set, you got to really knock those out. Locally in La Crosse, I was pretty happy to see that your band was coming back for Artspire before it was canceled. Is it fun to do those local shows?
Yeah, I think it is. It is really fun to do the local shows, especially when they're outside. And we have had such a fun time doing those shows. I mean, it's crazy doing, outside shows because the weather can play a big factor. And I know a couple years back when we did a show, we had a big rainstorm come in, and then like right as we were supposed to get on stage, clouds parted and a rainbow came out, and it was just like this beautiful setting, and it was like, yay, okay, we're gonna play, and kind of fly by the seat of our pants with some of that stuff doing outside shows. Yeah, we certainly really enjoy doing La Crosse. It's really great that people from our hometown over here in Viroqua, Wisconsin can also join, and there's so much art going on that weekend. It's great for everyone. So
last year, getting back to painting, your work was hung at Fanning Counseling and Art Therapy that uses, art within therapy. This is where I saw your work first. How do you prepare for your exhibitions like this? Is it ongoing, or is it something that you don't do that often? Or you have been focusing more on your jewelry too, correct?
Yeah, I have an Etsy shop where I put together a lot of prints of my work, and I have jewelry like pendants and earrings. But for me, like the exhibitions are ongoing. I try to do, 2 or 3 a year. Usually it's just a representation of the body of work that I'm currently working on and older stuff that I have that just, is a favorite. My work is really interesting in that I have some very realistic work, and then I also have some abstract work. And I think like it's a little tricky for some people when they walk in and see all my work to see that it's from the same person, but it really feels like a natural thing for me. I feel like I have different parts of myself and different creative desires, and I really want to play that out in my paintings. And so sometimes I will be doing work that's very realistic, and other times it's just, totally abstract, and it's just really playful. And I think that is something that I do consider when I'm putting exhibitions together, to kind of have that balance.
It sounds like you also have other interests that are keeping you busy. The Earthology Institute, why was that created? And what is it really?
Well, Earthology Institute is an environmental nonprofit that Craig and I started several years ago. We wear many hats. Both Craig and I have a big passion for environmental sustainability, and so that's been a part of it. We also have Earthology Retreat Center, which is, kind of an offshoot of Earthology Institute, and that is a retreat center where people can come and not only, stay on our property, but also enjoy some spiritual practices. We've had different healers coming out here and offering counseling sessions and workshops. And so, as you probably can imagine, with being a musician and an artist, we have to always be creative and think of new ways to explore our world and explore our art and music, and also be able to continue to have that connection with nature that we have and that's so strong for us. So
what's coming down the line? What's next for you?
I'm trying to answer that for myself. With COVID-19 being here, it's a real thing. I'm in the process of working with a couple of hospitals in Minneapolis and do a mural for the hospitals. With Cloud Cult, we're going to be doing a lot more Patreon work, and then just keep painting. I mean, I'm working on a commission right now. I'm taking commissions. My Etsy store has actually been doing pretty good with the COVID-19 situation, plugging away in all the different ways that I can.
So where can people find out more about you?
You can find out more about me at www.connieminowa.com, and it's ConnieMinowa.
La Crosse Local Podcast is a production of River Travel Media. Do you have an interview idea you would like to share with us? Message us on Facebook at La Crosse Locals. Subscribe to the La Crosse Local Podcast on your favorite podcast app. If you like us, rate us 5 stars. We thank you for it.